Hello, everyone, and welcome to an incredible game from the European Team Championship. It's Azerbaijan versus the Czech Republic, and on board one we have a big clash. Shakhriyar Mamedyarov takes on Nguyen, also known as Van, and you will have no idea who is attacking here. It's a remarkable game, and well, like all great games, it's a draw until it's not, and this one most certainly was not. But before I check it out, I would just like to show my flashy new trophy. Here you can see it. There you go. Uh, I won third place at my grandfather's memorial tournament. This was the 13th edition, and it was a sort of a blitz/rapid tournament. The time for it was 7+3. 9 rounds were played, and okay, I played some good games. I lost 2 games, and one game was a draw, so I ended up with 6.5 points out of 9. But I was very happy. I haven't played over the board chess in a very long time, and there were some strong players there, like FIDE Masters and Candidate Masters. And I was very happy. I got a lot of great positions with white, as almost everyone played a Sicilian against me. Some tried, some E6 or G6 nonsense, but they didn't really have a problem with that. With black, I thought everyone would go for the London because the last time I played the tournament, everyone was playing the London. But no, here everyone played the Cola system, which is sort of the new London. I don't know how to play against it, but I got fairly good games against it. So I was very happy with my performance, and especially since it was my grandfather's sort of memorial tournament, winning a trophy felt really nice. So I was just happy and decided to share that with you. Getting back to the game, Shakhriyar with white opens with pawn to c4. He goes for the English opening, and I know a lot of you are not from Croatia, but if you guys want next year when we have the 14th edition, if you guys want to come and play, I could invite you, and if you want to play, that'd be great. But okay, pawn to c4, we have pawn to e6, knight to c3, and pawn to d5. We have pawn to d4, knight to f6, and now c captures on d5. So the exchange variation of the Queen's Gambit declined. We have not e captures, which is almost always played. We have knight captures on d5, and now pawn to e4. Looks like something you might see in a Grunfeld, but the bishop is not being fianchettoed. Knight captures on c3, b captures pawn to c5, and rook to b1. Knight f3 is by far the most played move. Here we have rook to b1 and bishop to e7. We have knight to f3, and so I have no idea if Van was using this sort of as a starting point into how to go into this game. But Mamedyarov already had this game against Lenier Dominguez in the St. Louis Rapid Tournament of 2019. And in that game, pawn to b5 was played, where Shakhriyar won a very nice game. Shakhriyar having the white pieces here. But here we have castles kingside, and this is a new move. So already as of move 8, we have a completely new game. There are a couple of other games also. b5 is the only move that was ever played here. So let's see how Shakhriyar goes into this new territory. He plays bishop to c4, still not burning any time. As you can see, both of them are almost on starting time. Queen to c7 and queen to e2. We have pawn to a6, preparing pawn to b5. Castles kingside. We have pawn to b5 and the bishop to d3. And now you could go knight to d7. That would be the safe choice, but Van goes for knight to c6. He invites Shakhriyar to strike with pawn to d5. And, Shakhriyar, I mean, he's a strong player, former 2800. You don't have to ask him twice to create a passed pawn. He goes for it. Pawn to d5. And e captures would not be all that great, because what are you doing with the knight? And this bishop just becomes a monster. Even if you play something like pawn to c4, still after bishop to c2, you have to play a weird move like knight to d8, and this diagonal will just be very weak for the rest of the game. So after d5, we have knight e5, offering a trade of knights. Knight captures, queen captures, attacking the c3 pawn, and Shakhriyar says you can have it. Pawn to f4. You cannot give a check, as the c3 is preventing that, but you can capture on c3. And not capturing it would just be, running scared. It's best to capture. Queen captures on c3. Bishop to b2, grabbing hold of this diagonal. Queen to a5, only move that does not lose for black. And now, how do you continue here? I actually thought making this the thumbnail position, but then I like the other position, and then I like the other. This game is just so full of great positions. Point being that if you just go for something like queen g4, which seems like maybe we can attack the black king right away, then pawn to f6 is actually a great defense for black. And if you capture, then pawn to c4. And okay, the bishop moves, queen d2, black is even winning now. So you have to be very careful. And Shakhriyar does it by playing pawn to d6. He sacrifices a pawn, and all of this is made possible by the simple fact that the rooks are still disconnected. There's a term in chess where, you know, once you move the last piece in between the rooks, then the rooks become connected, and then they defend each other. But here they are not defending each other, and the rook on a8 is, well, could be hanging if it gets attacked. So bishop captures on d6, pawn to e5. Closing your own dark square bishop's diagonal in order to open up the light square bishop. And now, if you play an ill-considered move, like let's say you move the bishop somewhere, bishop d7 or whatever, queen e4 threatens checkmate and threatens the undefended rook on a8. So that's why after e5, pawn to c4. Not just counter the bishop here, but also to, you know, counter a move like queen to e4 with just bishop to c5 check. And that's it. Queen e4, bishop c5 check, and you have no worries. You know, there's just not much you can do there. Or even if bishop to e4, bishop c5 check, and black is just winning. So you're going to move the rook to a7, and the white has nothing. So that's why after pawn to c4, Shakhriyar goes for bishop captures on h7 check, king captures, and e captures on d6, creating a beautiful pass d pawn. Queen b6 check, we have king to h1. And now it seems like you can capture on d6, but if you capture on d6, then you run into this. Queen h5 check, king g8, and bishop captures on g7. And there's no defense. It's a pretty standard attacking idea. Captures, queen g4 check. If you go to f6, queen g5 is checkmate. If you go to h7, rook f3, followed by rook h3, and it's game over. So after king h1, pawn to f6, we have rook b to d1, and the bishop to d7. And okay, what do you play here? You could go for bishop captures on f6. It's actually the best move in the position. But after bishop captures on f6, g captures on queen to h5 check. Nothing more to be done here. King to g7, rook to f3, and after rook to h8, attacking the queen, rook g3 check, king to f8, and now, okay, you can capture and just checkmate the black king wherever you go. King f7, queen to g7, or even better, rook to g7 will be checkmate. So after bishop d7, rook f3 right away. Shakhriyar says that why not prepare it before playing bishop captures on f6, but it's actually a mistake because now king back to g8. It's not a mistake, you know, a big one because white is still so much better, but still black gets a position that can be defended because now if you play bishop captures on f6, you just capture it with the rook, and now there's no queen e4 because it doesn't come with check, so it's pretty useless. So after king g8, rook to h3 by Shakhriyar, pawn to e5, and rook to h4. We have rook a to e8, nicely aligning the rook with the white queen, and queen to h5. We have queen to f2, now getting ready to open up the g file, and maybe, you know, use it for the rook, but also the bishop might come to c6. You're going to put pressure on that g2 pawn. So who is better here? Objectively, the position is equal, but only objectively. Rook h7 check, king f7, queen to h5 with check, and now you can bring the king to e6, which is fine. You can bring the king to g8, which is also fine, but pawn to g6, the move that was played, is most certainly not fine. And we will discuss that, but just to give you an idea, if you put the king on g8, you can just repeat moves and that's it. Or you can open up the position and then go for something like queen to h7 check, king to f7, queen back to h5 check. You can even go king to f6 and then queen f5, and then you trade queens, and still it's an equal position. But you know, that's rarely what happens in chess. Pawn to g6, attacking the queen, queen h7, king to e6, and now queen captures on g6, followed by rook to g8. And it seems like Shakhriyar is you know, trying a little too hard here because he's getting checkmated on g2, which would be true unless, you know, he's winning by some miraculous move. So what is this miraculous move? Feel free to pause the video and find the checkmate for white while I give you a couple of seconds. Or not checkmate, just a winning idea for white. Have at it. While f5 might be your first idea, it's not really the case because black queen will just capture and you don't have a follow-up to this. That's the problem. But you do have queen e4 threatening pawn to f5. And now there's really no way for black to continue. It's actually best for black to just capture that bishop on b2 that's hanging. So queen captures on b2 was played. We have pawn to f5 check, king to f7, and now rook h7 check. And the problem is, if you block with the rook, then you get queen d5 check, king to f8, and rook h8 check. And that's it. Rook will block, queen captures, and this is now checkmate. Complements of basically the pawn on d6. So after rook h7 check, we have king to f8, and now rook captures on d7. And he was in this position on move 34 that Van resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Beautifully played by Shakhriyar, winning for his team on board 1. And the problem is, even though it seems like the material is even in black's favor, the problem is once you play a move, let's say pawn to c3, you want to promote that pawn into a queen. Queen d5, threatening mate, rook g7, let's say, rook g7, captures, and now queen b7 with check. And whatever you play, king h6, you're going to play queen f7, threaten mate on g6. And once you stop that, you don't even have to capture the rook. You can go for rook f1. You cut off the king, and now you're going to play queen to g6. So let's say pawn to c2. Queen g6 check, king to h4, g3 check, king to h3, followed up by a nice queen to h5 checkmate. So whatever you play here as black doesn't really matter. Beautiful game by both of them, but it is Shakhriyar Mamedyarov who takes this one. So yeah, very nicely done. As we've seen in the previous video, after 2 rounds, of only 5 teams on 4 points, Romania, Greece, Slovenia, Serbia, and France. With 3 points, we have Netherlands, Croatia, Azerbaijan, Spain, Czech Republic, Poland, Armenia, and with 2 points, many more teams, Belgium, Hungary, Georgia, the second team, Sweden, and so on, and so on. So we're going to see what happens after round 3 and who will take the European Team Championship this year. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Robert Taratun, Rokaho, John Anderson, Ulrich Thini, and Gerhard St. Pierre for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And if you still haven't, download Lotus Chess. First link in the description below, and start improving your chess today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a nice tournament. It's going to be an arena as usual, the monthly Lotus Chess Arena. So you can also register for that as well. Second link in the description below. Let's play a nice tournament and have a good time. See you soon.